There's a psychologist named George Holden. He's the father of three. He's a professor at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, and he has spent his career studying how parents discipline. And he's been doing research he did a study on 991 families, I think it was, about what percentage of parents yell at their kids. And what would you guess it is? What percent? 195. So according to his research, said that 90% of people yell at their kids. Another study says that most parents, even the most patient ones, lose their temper and yell at their kids. Anybody ever feel like this with their teenagers or their toddlers? In a 2003 Journal of Marriage and Family, out of 991 families interviewed, 88% admitted shouting, yelling, or screaming in the previous year. And that percentage jumped to 98% with people who had 7-year-olds. So that was interesting. So while occasional yelling is common in American families, parents who yell constantly are subjecting their children to emotional abuse that researchers say can be as harmful as physical abuse. I have boys, so this one really appealed to me. As I was reading about the research, one of the things that it said is yelling is often ineffective. And I was talking to one dad who says that he does it intentionally sometimes to make a point, like to let the kids know that he really means it or he's really mad. But psychologist Myrna Scher, who's a PhD at Drexel University, says that children can become immune to being yelled at, and then they start to tune it out. So then the screamers get even more frustrated and scream even more. And her research shows that parents who primary discipline with yelling, demanding, and commanding are more likely to have children that by age 4 to 5 are more likely to display physical or verbal aggression, social withdrawal, and a lack of positive pro-social behaviors like sharing and empathy. And I just think about that and think that trajectory just ain't going anywhere good. That's for sure. And so if we're yelling and screaming at them, we make them harder to parent, which then brings out more yelling and screaming, and we end up setting up a dynamic that just isn't what any of us want. Then one other piece of research is that author Mark Brady, who's a PhD, he says that yelling at our kids goes way beyond parental guilt and hurt feelings. And he wrote a book called A Father's Book of Listening, Essential Practices for Truly Loving Our Children. And he explains that yelling can cause long-term emotional damage, and it can negatively affect brain development.